So welcome back. So this is the first in quite a lengthy series, all revolving around TBC. The first videos that go out are going to be like this one, so it's going to be a quick dive into the key differences between the class you're playing now in Classic and what it's going to be like in TBC. Touch on talents, new abilities, rotations very briefly, stat priorities very briefly, but it's not a guide. So there will be in-depth guides that come out, but this is purely just sort of a very top level view, just on, oh, so I'm going to get these abilities, this is what my talents look like, this is roughly what I'm going to try and get gear wise, you know, and I'm going to do one for each class, and they're going to come out quite rapidly. So next one's going to be Rogue. I'm working on the assumption that when we get TBC it's going to be 2.4.3, so obviously TBC's not been officially announced, but we know it's coming, so we might as well get prepared now. So this one's going to be Warrior. We're going to assume we're working with 2.4.3, which if we are, that means we get mounts at level 30. For those of you who like alts, that's going to be nice. We'll just jump straight into it. Obviously, make sure you like, subscribe, check out the giveaway, look at any of my other videos that are all about Classic. I'm still going to be doing Classic videos, but a lot of my focus is going to go on TBC. It's going to go into the future. The main content I'm going to do videos now for Classic wise will be sort of AQ, Nax, keeping the Feral Beast list up to date, and then just news as new things come about in the Blizzard world. I'll inform you. But yeah, let's get into it. Right, okay, so we're going to dive into this. I don't need to mention liking and subscribing, so we can get rid of that. You've already done it. So what we're going to be looking at, so we're going to firstly look at talent changes, so talent changes between Classic and TBC. We're going to look at what new abilities you get. Then we're going to look at how do both of the above, so how do new talents and new abilities affect your rotation, or the basis of your rotation. What's the PvE and PvP viability of your class and spec, and then just some closing thoughts from me, so just my personal opinions on the class after playing it. Let's go. Okay, so we'll kick straight off with talent changes for Warriors between Classic and TBC. So we'll start with arms. So the top tier in arms is unchanged really, other than there was a buff to rend. So currently on Classic it's only 15% per point. So that's been buffed, which is nice for you arms warriors. I'm not going to go through every talent because I'll be honest with you, there's not, when you look at on screen where I'm in game and you look at the Classic WoW talent calculator, you'll notice a lot of the icons are the same. So not much has changed, but things have just been moved around. So Death Wish, for example, is a Fury talent at the moment, but that's actually been moved into Arms, and then Sweeping Strikes has been moved over into Fury. That's because, you know, Fury is meant to be more of a sort of cleave spec, so it does make sense in a way, I suppose. So yeah, then we've got Blood Frenzy, which is a new addition, which now increases damage, physical damage taken by the target by 4%, which is really nice actually. What other additions have we got? So Second Wind. Second Wind's a nice bit of extra survivability, which they've gave warriors a lot more of sort of self-healing abilities in TBC. All classes really are a little bit more self-sustainable, if you like. So then when we get into the new talents, the Mortal Strike, you know, buff to Mortal Strike before you can get to the final talent is a bit boring. You know, in my opinion, it's not very exciting for, you know, 5 talent points that you've got to dump in there. But then when you get to Endless Rage, obviously Endless Rage is, again, sounds a bit boring to be fair, but, you know, more rage is more damage. So it's, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that at all as a final talent point. But yeah, maybe not quite as exciting as some of the others. So what have we got if we move over into Fury? So Commanding Presence has basically been just, well, it was Improved Battle Shout, but it's now Commanding Presence, and that's because it's going to buff your new ability, Commanding Shout, which we'll get into shortly. Sweeping Strikes, as mentioned, is now in the Fury talent, and Death Wish has obviously been moved out over into Arms. So Weapon Mastery. So basically reduce the amount of expertise you need if you're only going for the soft cap, which, you know, basically to remove their chance to dodge, which is like 6.5% on a boss level mob. So the hard cap would be to remove parry as well, but 99% of bosses you should be DPSing from behind. So really, the hard cap or getting close to the hard cap would only be relevant for a tank who's stood in front. Yeah, expertise, and again, this is all assuming the changes with it being 2.4.3. So, like I said at the start, if they was to do it differently to Classic, which I can't see them doing, I think we're going to go straight on to 2.4.3. But if for some reason we didn't, then expertise is not actually in the game. So what they done in around 2.3, I think it was like Zolaman, when Zolaman came out, they changed weapon skill. So weapon skill was removed, and all items that had weapon skill were converted to give sort of an equal amount of expertise rating instead. Which was good, because there's certain sort of classes that weapon skill wasn't readily accessible to. So because it became a stat, expertise was found a lot more on various items, rather than just edge masters, handguards, and these odd weapons. It became a lot more popular stat, and every DPS was not only going for the hit cap, they was going for the expertise soft cap as well. And tanks were obviously focusing a lot on expertise as well, mainly using, like, if you was playing a prot warrior, you might use sort of hybrid gems, so like stamina hit or stamina expertise to get socket bonuses mainly, but also obviously to reach those caps with maybe lower level gear. Yeah, that's really all I want to say about the weapon mastery anyway. Flurry has been nerfed actually from Classic. It's 30% in Classic, but it's down to 25% in 2.4.3. But you then get improved attack power and reduced threat and berserker stance as your final points before you then reach Rampage, which obviously Rampage is very nice. More attack power, something to track as well, which is welcome to probably any DPS's rotation. You want things to track, just makes the spec and the playstyle maybe a little bit more interesting. So Fury wasn't there's not that much difference between Fury and Arms, from Classic to TBC. And then if we look at protection, I'll be honest with you, this is going to take 30 seconds. We're not going to talk too much about protection because it's barely changed. A few things have been juggled around. So Fury Prot is a big thing in Classic. I personally, I played hardcore in TBC, and I don't remember it being much of a thing outside of a couple of bosses where you may use a Fury Warrior to off-tank, because maybe they're not required to tank too much. Obviously, that's not really the reason we use it at the moment. We use it because of the massive threat, and threat can be an issue. In TBC, threat won't be an issue. You get all these new sort of tanking utility skills, and the gear's better optimized, and threats just less of an issue overall, and even less of an issue for Alliance for obvious reasons. But just briefly, we'll go over prot talents anyway, just really quick. So a lot of it's the same. Things have been juggled around, like Blood Rage in Tier 1 is in Tier 1 now. Obviously, when you're looking at the Classic version of the calculator, it's in Tier 2. What other major... and it was unlinked, so Last Stand and Improved Blood Rage got unlinked. Tactical Mastery has been moved over to Tier 1 of the prot tree. The nice ones is they get spell damage reduction in defensive stance now. But other than that, overall, the actual talent bonuses you get are pretty much the same, but just in different places, some of them. Even the 5 points before you get Devastate are a bit lacking. It's just an increase to stats. But obviously Devastate more than makes up for that, because, it does damage and refreshes Sunder. So for tanking, it's lovely. It's a nice way of not having to sunder. You're refreshing your sunders, but also doing damage at the same time. So yeah, all in all, that's pretty good. And then obviously the majority of the abilities you actually get, which I'll go into next, are for tanking as well. But we'll go over that in the next section. So didn't really feel the need to look at these abilities in game. I'll just overlay them on the screen for you. So this, it's just over some footage of me running around killing on a level 70 warrior in full green gear. So don't expect very big numbers. So the new abilities, you're going to get 4. All nice, I would say though. So you get Spell Reflect, which Spell Reflect is obviously very nice. What wouldn't you like about that? It is useful in both PvE and PvP. So yep, you will definitely get some use out of that. The best one I'll do next, really, which I would say is Command and Shout. Rather than using Battle Shout, you can now buff your party with 1,080 health, which is obviously very nice. It's one of those sort of go-to buffs that you're going to end up, wanting a warrior to use in your group. Yeah, and then you get Victory Rush, which again is very nice. It's more useful, I would say, in PvE than PvP, personally. I mean, if you're in Battlegrounds and you've maybe got a healer behind you and you're just charging around, smashing through stuff, then obviously getting that extra free, quite hard-hitting attack after each killing blow you get. But when it comes to its general usage, will be farming, grinding, dungeons, but in more PvE context, I would say, personally. And don't confuse it with the later Victory Rush, which included a heal, a healing effect in it. This doesn't heal; it is just pure damage. And then finally, we got Intervene, which is for the tanks out there primarily. It's very nice. Obviously, good way to get out of if there's a boss that's about to blow up or do something like that. Being able to intervene out is very nice. That's what I remember back in the day that its primary use was for, really. But obviously, you can intervene to a target, and it does actually deflect that, or should I say redirect the damage that they was about to take from the next attack onto the tank. So there are uses for that, don't get me wrong, but I would say Intervene is used in the vast majority of cases as just extra free mobility. So they're the 4 new abilities you've got. As I say, this is not like a deep dive into any of this. This is just a very top level, what can you expect different on your warrior between Classic and TBC. So, and it's very reliant on it being, kicked off at 2.4.3, but as I say, that to me is a given. So yeah, then next we'll just look at sort of the effect from talents and the new abilities, what that has on the rotation. Just before I do that, just really brief overview of sort of your stat priorities. Obviously they may change depending on your gear level, current items. That's where you need to be simming when you're actually in TBC, but for now it will be a decent enough sort of just overview of what stats you would be going for, maybe when you've just freshly dinged level 70. So obviously, but most importantly, getting hit capped. It's always been the same. Getting hit capped and getting your expertise soft cap. Haste is very valuable in TBC as a warrior, but crit, attack power, and even armor pen, they're all very close. And as your gear level goes up, the gaps on all of these close, because as you've got like high amounts of attack power, you'll get more benefit from crit and armor pen rather than getting more attack power. But if you've got high amounts of crit and armor pen, you're then going to benefit more from getting more attack power than crit and armor pen. I hope that makes sense. So there's no like stack this one single stat and you're going to be good. As your one specific stat gets high, then the other one's going to start to take over. So as I say, haste is good all the way through, as far as I remember and things I've looked into. But yeah, crit, armor pen, attack power do swap around as we go through. So that's just going to be sort of taking it at each item on a case by case basis. But that's basically just a top level on what the stats are that you'd be going for to begin with, at least. Then what difference to the rotation is there from current? So Fury rotation really is just keep Bloodthirst and Whirlwind on cooldown, while always sort of having enough rage to refresh Rampage, never let it fall off. And if you're over 60 rage, use Heroic Strike. As could go more into this in an in-depth guide if I do one in the future, but currently, this is going to be, as I said multiple times, just very top level. So for arms, it does weapon speed matters a lot more, but again, I'm not going to go into sort of the maths behind it. But there's quite a lot of complexities to an arms warrior, which, as I say, if I do an in-depth guide, then I'll go through all the weapon speeds on a chart, and you can see sort of with haste levels to your weapon speeds, which weapon speed you should be using based on your haste levels, which is quite good, a good read actually. I'm not even going to talk about Prot Warrior. There's not really a rotation. It's it's a reactive job being a tank. Obviously, you want to be shield slamming as often as possible, revenging whenever you can, and using Devastate to keep your Sunders up. But ultimately, you need to be pushing out as much threat as you can while maintaining your survivability. So there's not really press these buttons in this order and you'll be the best tank on the server, because that's really not the case. So then, my just to summarise, so my thoughts on a warrior for TBC. Really fun. Yeah, really fun to play. Solid for farming, PvE and PvP, and they'll be good in both. They always have been, always will be. They feel a lot more slick than in Classic. I like the addition of Rampage personally. I think it's quite a it just adds something else to press. Really, it's quite nice. Will I be rolling one? No, obviously not. If you need to wait for me to put a video out to tell you what I'm going to be rolling in TBC, you've not spent enough time on my channel, and I suggest going and having a look around, because there's only one class I'll be. But I won't spoil that for the people who don't know what I primarily put videos out about. They'll have to go and find out for themselves. So this is the first in a series of all the TBC classes. My sort of opinion, as I say, most of what's in the video is fact, but some of it is just my opinion, so try not to hate me too much in the comments. But either way, I hope you found it useful. Obviously, make sure you like, subscribe, all that stuff. Check out the giveaway, and I'm going to be doing Rogue next, so that I aim to get out in the next 48 hours. I really want to smash through all the classes, these top level videos on the classes. Then I'm going to be looking at professions, dungeons, raids, all those things. Really just getting the channel set up ready for TBC, because Classic we're quite inundated with Classic content on YouTube anyway, so might as well start looking into the future. I'm going to be putting some bits out for AQ and Nax obviously, and I'm going to keep doing the feral gear guides and all that sort of thing, but a lot of my focus will be going on TBC, because I'm really excited for it, and I want to share with you how excited I am by keeping the channel alive. So take it easy, thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.